Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, I'm back out at another start of what would be a production work week here at Giga-Texas. However, as I've been mentioning for the last couple of videos, production is down this week and most of next week. That's for line upgrades, maintenance, and some other activity that's going on inside the factory. That involves the production lines for Model Ys and Cybertrucks. And as we would expect, it also means that we're not seeing any production of Cybercabs right now, but that's not unexpected because production isn't really meant to begin until next month, which is only a couple of days away now. So later in the week, I'll be watching to see what's going on with the Cybercabs. But as I mentioned, we won't see any production for the next week and a half for the other vehicles. Now, there are some interesting things that are going on today that has to do with the vehicles, particularly the Cybercab and also the Semi. First, over in the outbound lot, we see this grouping of Cybercabs kind of looking like they're ready for transportation to happen. They do have some of the blue tape where the mirrors would be, and I think these are going to be more of those engineering testing versions that going out for around the country to test out the Cybercabs and the Robotaxi fleet. We are getting some indications here in Austin that the Robotaxi fleet may be getting ready for expansion. More of the Robotaxis here in the Austin area are now fully unsupervised with no safety monitor in the vehicle, so that's a great sign. Now, moving over to crash testing, two big things that I want to show you. First, the actual visual evidence of the Cybercab crash testing with many of the cars that are now displayed on the outside of that facility, showing body panels removed and some other evidence of that crash testing. I did get a chance to see this very interesting kind of display of a Cybercab with the front hood off, a door and open, and some other activity. We're able to see really clearly into that front area, and you can see that large windshield wiper container that I've talked about before, some more of the cooling system with the hoses and the valves that go for the motor, the battery, and also to help heat the interior. And just overall what that Cybercab looks like from a vantage point I don't think we've normally seen. Now, right next to that was very interesting in that the first of the refreshed semis is here at Giga-Texas, and it's up at the north end of the crash testing facility. You can see it displayed out here with these views, and it's really great to see. As far as I know, as I mentioned, this is the first of the refreshed semis here, and of course production for the semis is going to be gearing up later this year out in Nevada, and we're going to start seeing a lot of those, and hopefully we'll see a lot more here at Giga-Texas. There is a lot more going on around the site today, and I'm going to save that for the main video. The last thing I just want to leave you with is we are about 2 days away potentially for the return of astronauts to the moon. That's the Artemis II program. It'll be launching out of Kennedy Space Center out at pad LC-39B, and everything is looking good so far. April 1st is the first opportunity for that launch, and it will go throughout the week, and we'll see if they are able to launch. But this is a historic mission. There's a lot of coverage being done by those of us that cover space, but it's not so much out in the mainstream media. So I ask if you can tell everybody about this because it is historic and it is the beginning of our return back to the moon to stay. So with that, let's get into the drone, let's fly around, see what else is going on here at Giga-Texas. And as always, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. Take care.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Well, good morning from the northwest side of Giga-Texas. A little bit cloudy at the beginning of the video, but it will clear up as we continue to fly. So a quick look at the new rental equipment lot, that new tent at the bottom of the screen for workshop, and just how this is looking and where it is in relation to the main factory. More of the steel items stored here at this staging yard. Of course, the ever-present Evapco fan units, base units, and other equipment. Really no change here. And as we pass over another workshop that's used for welding and some other fabrication work, we can get a good view of this other material staging yard with that large two tents and some of the containers and some of the other materials. Just to the south of the tree line, of course, more of the racking systems for castings being stored here temporarily. And otherwise, no real change. There is a new permit that updates the Welcome Center, which is expected to be built in this field. So more revisions are continuing. And I understand that there may be some changes as to its partial function, and that is one of the reasons why the delay and also the revisions. There is no production going on today, as I mentioned, but there is some work at the end of line, also preparation for a large direct delivery day with all of these vehicles stored here next to the delivery center. And that is really great to see, and I'm just really happy for all of the new Tesla owners picking up their cars today. And you can see there's more on the left-hand side of the screen ready for pickup. The washing rack is very busy today too, as they are cleaning up some additional vehicles. Notice that all of the outbound lot is pretty empty. That's because the transportation operations over the weekend, and that just leaves about these 8 Cybercabs waiting for their turn to move. You can tell that some of them have the blue tape on the doors. That's in the location where the exterior mirrors would be mounted. All of these, again, are testing and engineering versions of the Cybercab. So these will be heading off to do some more testing around the country as we are getting much closer to April, and when we could expect to see the Robotaxi fleet starting to go to different cities and hopefully start scaling quite a lot. And then the Cybercabs will be hopefully in the next few weeks starting to join into the Robotaxi fleet as well. But this is what it looks like here on the outbound lot, looking back towards the main factory. And all of those vehicles ready for direct delivery. But otherwise, most of the outbound lot has been emptied out. And the rest of the vehicles that we will see here coming into view on the right, I think they'll be transported off-site over the next few days. And then we'll continue to monitor what is happening as they do that interior work in the factory. Since we haven't looked closely at this staging yard in a while, I thought I'd bring the drone down lower and take a look at what is here. A lot of these large spools of cabling, many more of those transformers still stored here in the middle part of the screen and the entire material staging yard. Looks like some crew working on the cable on the right-hand side of the screen, some workshops, another workshop for some of the ice containers that are packaged and sent around the site for the workers. It also has some water for the workers as well. And as we come across this green belt over this small staging yard and the black fenced off section, see these items that are still waiting for movement into the factory, generally into the 4680 cell portion of the factory. We do see a lot of work here assembling more superchargers. More of the equipment has been delivered in packaging, and also these base units, some of which are those folding unit versions of the superchargers that are meant to help accelerate the installation. We saw that Tesla had a post about that, and I showed that on my last video, but we can definitely tell that that work is also underway here in the supercharger workshop. I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We'll fly around the north and west sides of this southwest corner, showing you what the new test track is looking like. In the middle of the screen, that kind of ponded location, that looks like it's going to be retained to some degree. A nice berm that separates the inner oval track to where the ponds are. And you can see that kind of earthworked graded section on the berm. We also see more work with that inner oval and potentially another track on the inside. Looks like there is some geotextile membrane in a large rectangular section, plus dirt is being extracted and moved away to flatten out the grade. I'm going to bring the drone down lower over this section. This is where I expect to see some sort of facilities or support structures added. Of course, a better view of the inner track and this kind of wavy road portion that seems to be emerging, and a better view of that angled berm with that earthwork and some of the geotextile membrane on it to help support that kind of the berm with the ponds. And I am still hoping maybe it'll happen that this will be an off-road track area for Cybertrucks, but we will have to see how that all materializes. As we get in closer at a much lower altitude, good view of some of the prepared surface and the earthwork that is underway to remove this mound. Many of the center dump trucks are lined up, and then they're taking this dirt and depositing it in other parts of the site, particularly over on the east side. And we'll see that later on. But I'll bring the drone up higher. I want to give you an overall bird's eye view of how this track is coming together. And maybe if they get the basic earthwork done in the next week or so, we might start seeing asphalt being applied. And at the bottom right of the screen, the perimeter road with the access way coming between sort of a landscape section and where I think is going to be a parking lot. This is overall what this sort of track section of the site is looking like today. So I'm going to pan the drone around past the West Warehouse on Wheels, the end of line, the outbound lot in the top of the screen, and a good view of Giga-Texas here from the west side. We're going to get ready to go over the highway, and we'll look at some of the work that is being done just to the south of the Colorado River. Here is that work that is still being done kind of underneath these power lines. We see a lot of the pipes that are set up next to the excavation work that is underway, and it kind of it runs the south part of Falwell Lane, which is just to the south of the Colorado River. So I'm going to fly back over the river, back to Giga-Texas, a nice view of the entire east side, which we'll be viewing here closer in a little later in the video. Of course, the chiller plant or the cooling plant with all 6 of the fans working. You can see the steam coming up off of the top of those. And then here, as I drop back down along the entire berm, where we have seen work over the last year of excavation work, pipes being installed, and now some road work that is being done along the top of the berm. As we continue to fly along this side, I just wanted to show you the extent of that berm work, how it comes up and passes the flagpoles, and also just a look at the main entrance on the right. And we're going to kind of come around the flags, and I will show you that the exit point for Model Ys is shut for today. And as I mentioned, that is not surprising, as production and general assembly for the Model Ys is stopped for the next week and a half as they do line upgrades, maintenance, and some other work inside. As I pull back away, a better view here looking to the south along the berm work, where some of that excavation, or at least the Bobcat work, is continuing. Also, we see kind of a smaller bulldozer and some other work being done to flatten out this berm. What this will be when they're done and how will it look, I'm kind of curious, and I will let you know when I see that. At the loading platform, we have a crane in place, but no materials at the moment. I was flying by, and we see a lot of the buses driving by, bringing in some employees for some of the work that's being done on the inside, even though production is not underway. As I wrap around the northwest corner, I'll reposition the drone so we can look at what is going on the north side. And there's some particular things of interest in front of the paint shop today I want to show you. So we pass this loading platform at the base. I'll zoom in here. This is that Model Y body that's been here for several weeks. This is not the one that came in the crate. In fact, all the crates that were delivered at that time, I showed you that body in white in it, have been moved away. All of these are those forms for the Cybercab. Looks like there's at least 4, maybe 5 sections of the Cybercab in all of these various forms, including the bumpers, the cant rails, the hood, the trunk lid, and the roof, the doors, the fenders, and more parts of that Cybercab. Next to that is the paint stands that are used to paint the Model Y front and rear bumpers and some other parts. Some people are confused that why the Cybercab parts are up by the paint. They said, I don't think that the Cybercabs are being painted, and that is true. These are just where they are storing those items for now. As we fly over the racks for the castings here in the handling yard, some additional material at the bottom of the screen here. I did want to come back and show you that many of the racks that were here for the Cybertruck have been moved away. There's just a few left. There's also some Cybertruck castings on the ground, and then here where we see these access points and that fence, most of the work looks to be completed, and they've repoured the concrete that they had removed. Next to the melt center, brought the drone down lower so you can get a better view inside. The loading system on the right still looks like it hasn't been used too much. We have these bins with covers at the bottom of the screen, more of the recycled wheels and other material that will be melted down, and the loading system that is being used for the furnaces. As I bring the drone up higher over the baghouse filtration plant, we can see some Cybercab castings at the bottom and the ground. And as I work my way around the flue of the baghouse filtration plant, I'll try to zoom in here next to the wall, show you the items that have been brought in, stored, and waiting for installation. Of course, there's some castings for the Model Y. We see some other equipment items that are wrapped in silver plastic, a lot of crates, some red painted items, and the bases, these kind of black bases, and those are for large robotic assemblers. I'll zoom back out as we look along the east side, and the parapet wall is directly below the drone. I'm going to get a sense of what this looks like from this vantage point. We're over the east secondary main entrance, and I'll kind of maneuver the drone over the power lines to look down so you can see this glassed-in entrance and some more items that are stored just to the south, and some of that looks like it may be production line equipment. As I bring the drone away, bring the drone down at a little bit lower altitude, I'll show you the testing calibration lot, plus a lot of the employee vehicles that are taking advantage of the free charging. And we'll continue to work our way around the pond and show you what this staging yard looks like. This has grown in some importance as more of the items on the east side are being repositioned because of the construction of the advanced technology fab. Of course, there is the wind tunnel here. There is a permit that talks about the new electrical systems that were added in, conduit and cabling to provide permanent power, also for more trailers in this location. So we may see contractor trailers moved here to take advantage of the new power. To the east of the parking garage, we see some activity on the bottom left in the large field. We'll see that closer in a moment. Also, the trench work that is being done in this field just to the east of the parking garage and the privacy fence. We also see some more work just to the south as well. And this work is continuing to prepare some of the underground stormwater management system to drain away a lot of the rainwater from this part of the site. As we come in closer again, the wind tunnel on the right, the helicopter pad, the Rainmaker device at the bottom of the screen, and more of the vehicles being stored here in the temporary lot until their time for delivery comes up. I'll zoom back in to the south side of that secondary main entrance. We can get a better view of those items that I talked about just south of that entrance being stored here. We do see some cones around some manhole access covers, and it looks like maybe some work is being done on the apron there. Next to this temporary loading platform, we see these 4 chiller units plus all the piping and valving. This is to help with the thermoplastic injection molding machines that are inside this part of the factory and part of the Cybercab production line. And all that is through this section of the building. As we pass these two silos, that large black door is where the Cybercabs would exit, but we do not see any Cybercabs here today. As I continue to work my way to the south, you can see many more deliveries of equipment and items here next to stamping, some very large wooden crates with blue tops, other crates as well, the big gantry crane with some deliveries underneath it, and those are so heavy that they use that crane so that they can load them onto the SPMTs for movement inside. The excavation here on the southeast corner looks like it's wrapping up. The trench boxes have been removed. It looks like most of the trench has been filled back in, so we can probably expect to see that repaved here momentarily. At the intersection here of Cyber Circle and River Road, more of the work to do that extension. Some of the concrete medians have been put in, and some of the curbs as well. You can get a good sense of how this is coming together. Also, we can see that same treatment heading off to the north to connect Robotic Avenue, which runs to the north on the left-hand side of the screen, and River Road extension at the bottom of the screen. Also, more excavation work around both sides of Robotic Avenue on the left-hand side of the screen. Trench work for pipe installation along the extension for the road, which trails off to the right-hand side of the screen, and excavation work on that large pond that will separate River Road on the bottom left, sorry about that, and Electric Avenue, which is going to run through this section by the tree lines and connect over to the roadway that is on the north side of the parking garage. Of course, all of this section will be the advanced technology fab, and to build this, all of these structures, workshops, and containers will have to be removed. But a nice view back to where we came from, and now kind of pivot the drone to the north. See that east warehouse on wheels, which will partially have to be removed as well, and all of this in the view here will have to be relocated for that construction to begin. We do see earthwork coming in here. Some of this is being brought in from that far southwest side to prepare some of the graded location for River Road to go through this location. Also, the removal of this very large hill is continuing. This must be removed because this is the pathway for River Road's extension, and also where that advanced technology fabrication structure will be built. And as I maneuver the drone around, we can get a good sense of the materials that are remaining for removal, plus that structure by the trees still needs to be removed, and the old maintenance shop for the concrete trucks has already been removed. Of course, those containers that we see at the center of the screen, speculation is because of contaminated soil. There is new soil being stored on top of the large hill at the bottom of the screen. And as I turn back to the north, we can see earthwork is well underway today to raise the grade here and extend River Road's extension through this location to the right around that pond, and then through the tree line up to Lone Tree Field. The crane is back at the battery cathode plant, bringing more materials up to the roof, and also here next to the crash test dummy facility. We can see how that is coming together. More crash testing is being done inside the crash test facility itself, and evidence of that crash testing with some of the Cybercabs. This particular one looks like it's missing its front bumper. The door is on the ground, the hood, the trunk is open, and some other items. Along these that are stored next to the fence, a few of them show some other signs like the door that is missing. I did notice this Cybercab that was put up here towards the north part by this shipping container, and some of the wheels took advantage of the visibility and give you a top-down view. We can see part of the vehicle is being disassembled both on the inside, and we can see on the dashboard part of that roof center panel that is laying there. It looks like some cabling, and a great view into the front of the vehicle. You can see there is no trunk. There is an extremely large washer bottle, and that is because the fact that it uses washers not only for the windshield but for all of the cameras, so it's going to need to have a lot of that fluid there. As I pull away, a good view of all of the Cybercabs and the crash test facility itself. And also notice that we have the first arrival of the refreshed Tesla semi, and it is on display here on this north part. I'll zoom in so you get a good view of how it looks. Of course, it's got that front light bar treatment that brings it in line stylistically with the rest of the fleet. It's missing the top cab right now. And that would be probably a white painted fiberglass cap that would go on top of that black roof that you see right now. Of course, some of the extended sidewalls for the vehicle and the rest of it. So it's really looking great and a nice refresh. This production should be beginning in the next few months out at Giga, Nevada, as that production line is nearly ready to come online. A nice view here of that earthwork to the east of the crash test facility, showing the preparation work to extend River Road through this part of the site and trailing off onto the upper right through the trees. On the left-hand side of the screen, coming back into view, it looks like more of these green transformers have been delivered as their numbers seem to be increasing. Of course, these are what will be installed on the west side of Cortex 2 as part of the expanded Megapack system that they will be adding later on this summer. As we pass around these materials that are being stored here next to the tree, we see some platforms. Those platforms are what are also going to be put on the west side of Cortex 2 to support the electrical equipment and transformers that will support those Megapacks. Between the battery cathode plant on the left and the Cortex 2 on the right, a lot of activity, some trench work, and materials being stored in between in that field. Before I come back to that, I also noticed that they're doing some earthwork to the north of Cortex 2 and deliveries that are being made. I originally saw these coming in on a truck. They were able to unload them and move them inside by the time I got the drone back to do the video. But this should be increasing the amount of cabinetry and other equipment that is brought inside because, as we have heard, the expectation is for partial operation of Cortex 2 beginning next month. Here's a better view of some of the trench work that is underway just to the east of the part 2 of the cooling system for the Cortex 2. You can see that at least 2 of the bays for the fans are being assembled with the fiber reinforced beams, and also we see the kind of decking being added on now. Also work on the 2 kind of vaults at the bottom of the screen for more of the pipe installation, which is what's going to be needed to mimic what we see here with part 1. Of course, the 14 megapacks are in place here next to part 1 of the cooling system, and we see all of the temporary chiller trailers plus the pipes that are connecting them, electrical systems, transformers, and more to allow this to augment the cooling capabilities of Cortex 2 and to allow for this to begin that partial operation in April. So good view here of the entire assembly. We're going to kind of maneuver around here on the south side of Cortex 2, looking at some more earthwork that they are doing. Still looks like this is a pond rather than a tank location, but I'll continue to watch that as it develops. And as I maneuver around here on the southwest side, a nice view of all of the megapacks and those electrical systems on the platforms that we just talked about. So I'm going to fly along the west side, show you the expansion of the megapacks area and how this is coming together, plus the beginning of a new road on the left-hand side of the screen. As I move around here on the north side, you can tell where that new road is headed over towards the electrical switch yard. and how it flows back to the south along this middle part of the site, paralleling where all the megapacks will be installed. As we fly over the workshop at the bottom of the screen, I wanted to show you all of the contractor vehicles that are being parked here. They are doing that because where the test track is where they used to have temporary parking, but now they're parking along the construction sites that they're working on here on this part of the Giga-Texas property. A nice view of where some of the materials are stored. Here are some of those flooring and also some HVAC equipment for Cortex 2, all in those large bundles. As we maneuver our way back up to the electrical switch yard, I'll just show you these red wrapped topped items are the equipment for this third transformer. Here's a zoom in showing you the work that is being done. Looks like they are preparing some more installation of steel next to that A-frame. And as we continue to maneuver to the north, you see crews on man lifts doing more connecting of steel items. Most of the circuit breakers have now been installed, and it looks like almost all of the footings have their steel items in place. As I maneuver here on the north side, you can see where the new road works its way around over to the batch plant at the top right of the screen, and we'll get a better view of that momentarily. Also, some of the equipment and those four steel power pole bases still waiting for their turn to be installed. So I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We're going to fly up to the north over that concrete batch plant, and also where the landscaping materials and some of the offices for the rental equipment have been relocated from that northeast Lone Tree field and over to this part of the site. As I turn back to the northeast, we're going to fly over to the large clearing, and we'll take a look at the work that is underway here today. Looks like silt fences, parking of vehicles, water trucks, and a lot of earth moving equipment still busy here on this large clearing. And as I kind of maneuver around here, a great view of that earthwork at the bottom of the screen, plus some of the gravel mix soil improvement that is going on in the middle section. That's that large defined rectangle. On the north end of the screen, we see the black and orange silt fencing, and also some solar powered security items at the bottom center of the screen. And a nice view back to the south along this entire site with some of this gravelly material on the north end with a large hill, and the flat section that is getting all of the earthwork, and also center dump trucks bringing in materials for that work. Next to the tree line, more of the silt fences, and I'll bring the drone down low, zoom back in, just so you get a better kind of feel for the operation that is underway. Now, right now, it looks like it's mostly bringing in materials and spreading it around to kind of flatten out and prepare the grade for the next step. And this is very similar that what I saw almost 6 years ago with the initial construction of the Giga-Texas main footprint for the factory. What they did is they prepared the ground. In this case, the ground was pretty level. They improved it as necessary by bringing in different kinds of fill, also a kind of a gravel material. Once they got that all spread, then they started doing the geo-piers, which are ways of strengthening the soil and putting piers through the ground to support heavy weight. So I'll see if that is in fact happening. We do see excavation underway in that middle section, and it's kind of changing the grade at the south end. And we'll continue to watch that and see how this all develops. I know a lot of viewers have got some pretty strong opinions about what's going on there, so I'll just wait until we see some more visual cues. On Lone Tree Field, we can see the remnants of where the rental equipment lot was, plus that fenced-in section where some materials are being stored. The bottom of the screen is a temporary recycle kind of operation that is underway. And that may be to help augment eventually the recycle center that's going to have to be relocated for the advanced technology fabrication structure. Here's a good look at the Lippmann concrete crushing operation. Much of the concrete that has been crushed up is being loaded into these dump trucks and then moved elsewhere on the site. Now, I've also had some viewers that have been trying to track where the trucks are going. Some have found that some of them are headed to the south part. In this case, these are heading up to the north. And even though I'm going to climb away and pull up to the north, you'll still be able to track this truck and follow along where it is headed. And that will bring us to an end of today's video. I thought this bird's eye view of all of the areas that we have visited, plus showing you all of the construction zones that are underway here at Giga-Texas would be helpful. As always, thank you very much for watching. I very much appreciate your support, and have a great week. Take care.